We'll get back to the on the field action, but we did have some news this week that dropped. Kind of fell out of the sky. We just looked one day, and we're just going along, doing our thing, and we just kind of say cheese. There's a bowl game. The SIAC and the CIAA have come up with a bowl game. It is official now. We only learned about it about a week ago. So both conferences have signed on. There was a press conference today. Some more details are trickling out, but right now what we do know is it's December 13th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is actually 3 days before the Celebration Bowl. But it is a couple 100 miles away. We've talked about this. It doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't look like it's going to impact the playoffs.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
But again, what do you guys think? I mean, obviously we've had the Pioneer Bowl before, and we're gonna get to some of these guys' questions too before it gets too late. But what do you guys think about this bowl game? And then we'll get into some questions.
You see the look of disgust on his face.
Listen, on the SIAC talk on Sundays, I'm always, I'm against the bowl thing, but like I told them, money can make me change my mind. I'll support it 100% for money, but I just want to start. December 13th is on a Wednesday, and right there is when I just stopped. Like I stopped a Wednesday. I'm sorry. Our fan bases are really, like in SIAC, we have a really big base of older fan base. They ain't missing Bible study to come to Fort Lauderdale on December 13th. Okay, Bible studies on Wednesdays, and it's just not happening. I'm confused.
It's Wednesday at 7 though. Like they can go to the game, then they can go to Bible study.
No. And we just keep it honest, when we talk about the Pioneer Bowl, that's really the Tuskegee Invitational is what it should have been called. Who's traveling? It was a lot of questions. That I just wasn't really sure. I know there was like a team qualified. They have 6 wins. Are they really concerned about attendance? Is it going to be like, the viewership numbers? It's a lot of things that just have me like, whatever. But at the end of the day, I want our team to get in the playoffs and compete well. That's what I want. I want our team to get in the playoffs and not get manhandled, get bam. Let's win, because we see that impact our recruiting during the recruiting season. It impacts it, and I don't know about if going to play on the beach at Fort Lauderdale on a Wednesday is going to be a selling point during recruiting. I just don't see it. So it's just one of those things to me that I'm not a fan, but if it brings financial benefit to the conferences, hey, I'm not going to be, if Tuskegee's in it, I'm going to be down there. I might, I'll be there, but hey, but it is what it is.
I mean, there's a few ways to look at this. So part of the reason why I don't like it on a Wednesday is not just that older fan base, but, people got jobs to go to. You're asking people to take leave to go to, go down to a football game. And is that really going to happen when you got Christmas right around the corner and New Year's right around the corner? And then Edward puts in the chat too, you're asking people to travel like Fort Lauderdale, South Florida is an outlier. And when it's wintertime, like that's high season for South Florida because the weather is better than like anywhere else in the country. Right. So, it's going to be much more expensive to go down there during that time too. So there are some like negatives to this whole setup. And then you're not going to get like the best team in either conference because they're going to the playoffs. Yes, the playoffs don't make money. I mean, that is an issue. I mean, that's kind of why we saw, the FCS schools go to the Celebration Bowl. But they don't, I mean, the playoffs doesn't make money. So if you're really about money, that makes a big deal. But South Florida, I mean, you're going to have to sell that to the cities, to the 3 counties down there to get people to come out, because that's a lot to ask for from a fan base, and the timing is just not all that great. Now, I will say too that like the fact that you have like the playoff games on the weekends and having this game on a Wednesday might get some more viewers that ordinarily wouldn't watch a football game, that starts to get a little football starved. So that helps, but it's still kind of like a bit sus to me. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and I go back to when you talk about the Celebration Bowl, when that came along, there were people, the SWAC people immediately loved it. The MEAC people, they'll say that they love it now, but back then it was definitely something that, there were strong feelings about. They were used to doing the playoffs, even though they hadn't had a lot of wins, they were used to doing the playoffs. I think, that and people, just like we talk about the Pioneer Bowl, people remember the Heritage Bowl. But I think the thing with the Heritage Bowl was, having it's now, the thing is now we always think in HBCU football and smaller football of attendance as being the marker. But of course, for the Celebration Bowl and the games like that, it's TV. What kind of TV numbers can you draw in, right? So, the game is going to be streamed. I believe HBCU Plus is the platform that is going to be streaming it. And I'm, I would have to think that at this point, when people are putting together a game like this, it's about the media that you can sell around it. So, we'll have to see, when the celebration was a bowl was announced, there wasn't a sponsor. Initially, Air Force Reserve came on and did it. And then they had it for a couple years, and then they didn't have it. And people kind of worried about the health of it. So, the main thing is when you're doing a bowl game at this point, and everybody knows they're super saturated, especially around that time frame. I guess they would be the unofficial kickoff to the bowl season, because it had been the Celebration Bowl. So I guess they would be the first bowl. But it's going to be interesting to see if they have who's going to be, come up and be a title sponsor. What kind of money are they going to give? What kind of perks are they going to give? Because again, we've seen the Pioneer Bowl, and I think we all know that died just because there wasn't, the thing that the Celebration Bowl has had is it has ESPN events, their machine behind it. This event, if it's going to be successful as the Celebration Bowl has been, and even though that's had its ups and downs, they're going to have to have somebody that is a dedicated TV partner and, some big time sponsorships for it to happen. And then it's about eyeballs. And then I think if you talk about attendance, then it's going to matter what matchups you get, right? We know Tuskegee's not going to the playoffs, not because they're not going to be a good team, but because that's the route that they've chosen to go. So, if you get a fan base like Tuskegee, as Kendrick just said, you may get a crowd there. And then, depending on the CIAA, if Virginia State, they have a decent sized following. I'm not sure about, traveling down to Florida, but I'm sure, they probably get it together. And then, Winston-Salem State, if they can make a 6-win threshold, and Lord knows, we'll believe that when we see it, but they do, WSSU does travel, and a WSSU Tuskegee matchup is probably the sexiest matchup you're going to get as far as fan attendance. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see from that perspective how this thing goes. I'll let you guys give your thoughts, and then we'll go into the questions and everything.
And we owe y'all a whooping. What is that, 17, 18, whatever y'all came down. And I'll never forget, y'all hadn't won a game, and Chris tweeted me, he said, I believe Winston-Salem going to get their first win. I was like, going to get their first win? And came down there and hit us. And came down there and hit us in our mouth. I hadn't gotten over that yet, so
your shed to take over your shed. We'll come to your shed, take over your shed. That's probably that's probably one of the best victories in the last 5 years. So they'll definitely take it. But yeah, you guys' final thoughts on the game. And then we also had the CIAA and the HBCU GO. I know a couple weeks ago I reported that the two teams, the two sides were far away and they kind of pulled apart, but they came up with a 10-year agreement. I understand that there are some ins and outs to it, and I hear the SIAC. I think they have some. They have done some SIAC games. I don't know that they've gotten a long-term contract either. But what are your guys' thoughts on getting HBCU GO and the CIAA? And what it means for them.
Well, I would say that one of the things that came out in when they announced this deal was somebody's listening at the CIAA's office, and I'm so happy for it because they actually went to each campus and looked at like the whole video infrastructure, and because of that, I think we're starting to see like some real improvements being sunk into like presentation. And I think that that's huge. And so, anything that could be done to sort of enhance that experience where the product looks good, because like the product now is better than like what you see in some of the other broadcasts like Flow Sports. I mean, everybody complains about Flow Sports. And so things like that, I think, are a really big deal. And it's great to like really like show off what the conference can do. So in that respect, it's a good thing.
Yeah, HBCU GO, I had some complaints about when the Benedict Shaw game and also the Mississippi Valley Central State game. Like from a production standpoint, like, things are good, but just the era, not showing it. Like you flip on HBCU GO and you supposed to be watching one game, the next thing you know, you watching a Grambling FAMU game from 2022. Like that just was irritating my soul. It's like, okay, y'all get it fixed, because I've seen clips where y'all talk about they want to combine all the HBCU basketball conferences. Like, I'm just saying, get your stream right first, so that when I click on that, I can get quality products, especially if you're trying to lock these schools into these 10-year deals. Like, make sure you have a quality product before we get locked in, because I watched the A&M versus Lane game on YouTube, and it was done extremely well. So it's like, yeah, I'm not sure about these 10-year deals if y'all not going to make sure that you guys are pouring the money into making sure your product is, quality, or at least, but people can watch the game if their team is on. I looked at that last drive that Central State had to win. We couldn't see it. We could not see it. That's a big time deal for Central State to knock off an FCS opponent. I would have loved to have seen that, not have to go back, in hindsight. So just make sure your product is up to par before 10-year deals, please.
It turned into HBCU stop, as in stop watching. You weren't watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, come on, So 10 years is a very long time. So I sure hope that there's an option to reconsider if it's not working out. Who wants to get stuck into a really bad deal? But we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kendrick.
I said, because I think the SIAC, like, we're locked in with ESPN to 2027, I believe. So that's interesting to be locked into a secondary deal with them for 10 years. So.
Yeah, definitely. I believe the SWAC's deal with HBCU GO was 10 years as well. The thing about HBCU GO though is that is a plus is, they get their, the reach is pretty vast as far as linear TV, because you can see it on the Grio, which, I think you don't have to have cable to have, which is which is always a great thing, for folks, and again, the CIAA network, there were varying levels of competence. Let's just say that varying level of competence and keep it at that.